Good morning. Today is the opener for rifle season for elk here in eastern Washington. I am here with my dad and my brother, and we are hunting new country. We've never hunted here before, so we're going in a little bit late because you don't know where you're hiking past when you're in the dark. So according to Onyx, there's a couple different knobs over here that should allow us to have a pretty good vantage to overlook some very steep mountains. So we're gonna head over there, see if we can't spot any elk. Three gunshots right over the mountain this way. I just got to my knob, glassed way across. I just spotted the first elk of the day. Looks like 5 or 6 of them. They are very far, so I'm gonna throw my spotter on them. Oh, that's awesome. I've got a good feeling that there's a spike in there. We'll see what the phone says. There might be a spike in there. I think he's a spike. There's a lot of them. He is so far. Like, we can't make a play from here. We would have to drive all the way out, come in from the top, and shoot him. Gino's making his way over. Oh, we have a legal elk. He's so far. There you go. Are you ready to go? 8-mile hike to go kill him. What are you talking about? We're like 1 mile in. There's a spike on that yellow flat over there. He's with like 10 cows. He's about 3,000 yards away. That farthest flat that's yellow, like directly above. No, the two ridges over. That yellow flat to the right. There's a spike with like 10 cows. The only way would basically be go all the way back, coming from up top, and then drop down. He's a spike. First legal bull. But I don't know where they're gonna go though. Seems like they're kind of moving to bed, but they're just feeding.
I don't know if we're gonna make a play on it. I need to tell Dad so he don't drop down so far.
I mean, we got all day, but he's, as far as I could tell, he's 1 by 1. He's as perfect as a spike gets. I just confirmed there's actually 2 spikes with this herd, so they're extremely far. They're like a little over 3,000 yards as the crow flies, but with this mountain system, you are not going straight to them, so you have to do these really extended routes. So it'll probably be like honestly, with how the road and trail systems work, it'll probably be like a 12-mile loop just to get to that herd. But there's 2 spikes, at least as far as I can tell. There's the first one I spotted, and then there's a mega spike. He might not be legal, but I need to confirm him. I think he's legal though, just a super tall spike. Oh yeah, I think he's just a spike. But he's just way bigger than the first one. So there's 2 spikes. And yeah, we just don't really have a play on them because, like, I mean, we got to go all the way around that mountain system over there. But who knows? We'll play it patient because these elk, they're kind of on the move, so we need to see where they go, because we might just go right now and they won't even be there by the time we get there. So I'm gonna pick things apart, and maybe there's some right by us. But yeah, that's 2 spikes. That's a spike, and that's a spike. Oh, starting to rain as the weather forecast predicted, and this herd of elk just bedded down. And there's a branch bull with them. There's a bigger bull. If you are not familiar by now, or you haven't figured out, this year, spending my first elk hunting trip in a spike only unit. So we're only allowed to shoot spike bulls. So that big bull down in the bottom right, he's off limits. He's like a 5 or a 6 point. But as far as I could tell, there's 2 legal bulls in this herd. And they bedded down, which honestly, they're in a spot where you can easily make a stalk on them. They're not on the best angle because you'd be coming from the backside, but we're not totally in a rush to make a move because I don't think these elk are totally content with bedding there. And so we're kind of just taking it easy here and seeing what these elk do. I mean, they're bedded for now, but they can get up and rebed. But with the rain supposed to be sticking all day, they might be content there. It's just a lot of commitment to get over there. So, with that said, we got the umbrella. Some people give me flack for using an umbrella, but the biggest thing about an umbrella is you protect everything. Protect your spotting scope. Like right now, if I didn't have this umbrella, the rain droplets would be getting on my phone and it would stop recording, pause recording, and do a bunch of weird stuff on my phone. So you have this thing and all your pack and camera equipment is all dry.
Oh, I see it up closer.
Yeah. Chinu just spotted a bull on the ridge in front of us. So we're on ridge 1. I spotted that herd of elk and the spikes on ridge 3. There's a big bull on ridge 2. He looks just like a good 6x6, or he might even be a 7 point. Just looks like a beautiful bull. But with this rain, we kind of have some fog rolling through, but our visibility is still really good. I can see for miles, but it's just not super clear. But with this rain and this overcast, it seems like these elk are, like, they're not rushing to go hide in the dark timber, which is really good for us because it allows us to glass them for a longer period of time. But we're trying to think of a game plan here, but like there's so many things going on, we just can't commit ourselves to one single game plan yet. So we might just stick around here for a little bit longer to glass, and who knows, maybe there's a spike nearby and we won't have to dedicate such a long trek to get over there. But that's a really gorgeous bull. I'd probably hang my
big bull tag on him, if I had to say so myself. This fog and rain is not supposed to lift. It's gonna be doing this all day. That herd of elk with the 2 spikes, they're bedded down. It seems like they're content, so we're gonna make the decision to make a play on them. So we're gonna hike back to the truck, drive, and get to the same system that those elk are on, and then drop down about 3 miles, and hopefully they're still gonna be there by the time we get there and we can make something happen. We made it to the ridge that the elk are on. We were originally glassing way down on this far ridge. Went back to the truck, drove over, connected to the ridge that the elk are on. Now we got them like a 3.5 mile jaunt just to get down to where the elk are. It's kind of windy up top, but the good thing is it's cleared up. All the fog is up high and we're dropping down lower. Visibility is as good as it gets. I want to get over the ASAP. At least I can see them. They're making their way over. I'll wait for them up here. I just wanna, I'm so eager to go kill an elk, man. So I think they're about, I don't know, 3/4 of a mile behind me, but I'll wait for them up here. This is where we're gonna split off this main ridge because it goes into 2, and they're on the far one, so I need to dip over like this, but I'm waiting for my brother and my dad to show up. They're a little bit behind, but we're making pretty good time. It's about an hour on the dot. I think it'll take us another hour to get in position. I just hope the elk are still there. The weather's really clearing up, which is really nice. You can see visibility is great. The rain has stopped. I think, if I had to guess, I think that these elk are going to appreciate the sunlight and they might just sit out in the opening long enough. I just need my dad and Chinu to hurry up. That knob right there is the knob on top of them 1 bench higher. Been just running down here, trying to make good time. My dad and my brother are still just way behind. So, just have to keep waiting on them to show up. But I'm gonna crawl my way up to that knob just to make sure that the elk haven't made their way up 1 bench. And yeah, this is it. We glassed them from one of those knobs over there, made our way all the way around, and we're on top of them. Oh, fingers crossed. My brother and my dad, they're tapping out. My dad just called me and he just said they're struggling over there to get over here. So he just said for me to go first, and if I get a shot at a spike, just to shoot them, and they'll come and help me pack it out. So I'm not gonna wait for them. I'm gonna keep going over here and see if I can't get lucky and smack one. could shoot him right now. There's 3 spikes. There's 3 spikes. They're working their way back over. just robbed him. My dad's coming. Get ready. Nó kia họ lúc hai nó là nhớ sân đầu thôi. Sẽ là tự đi nha. To mà. Lạnh sẽ đây mà nhá. Lạnh. Block của chị à. Kinh quá. To cũng bỏ từ thiệt từ spy. Có bỏ thộp lỡ nè. Có bỏ thộp lỡ. Chỉ sợ mua từ phở lon đây á. Từ phở lon à. Từ phở lon từ nửa sát lôi từ spy nè. To chưa lên đây cho.
Từ thiết bế số to đó.
Từ thiết bế số to à. Nó to lỡ to. Chấm màu vô lên thầy. To. Ôi,
Đâu đấy? Đâu nè.
oh, you got one, Dad. Nhà có gì mấy sure rồi. No way.
Từ phở lon.
My dad just drilled another spike. He drilled a super spike. My dad came over, he drilled his. So many spikes. It's up to you.
The branch. He's in the pack.
I think he's the bottom right. Wait, yeah, bottom right's the spike. It's up to you if you want pack 3. There's 2 more spikes.
Bottom right, there's 2.
Yeah, there's 2 spikes. The bottom right in the twigs is a spike though.
Okay.
Are you gonna send it?
Maybe. I'm not steady though.
It's up to you if you want to pack 3.
I don't know. That's why they're on the ridge too, so that's like kind of like it's nice now.
Dude, careful, dude. You're too loud. Yeah, I don't. Dude, there's like 2-3 other spikes, man.
I'm pretty sure I saw quite a bit, but I don't know.
There's a lot of spikes. Let me grab the spotter. Huh? Which one is it? Which one is it?
I saw white going down. Did you get that?
No.
No.
I think we just have a triple. We just downed 3 spikes. We are in an absolute hole. But man, there was like 5 spikes in that herd. 5 spikes with like 2 big bulls and a bunch of cows. Man, we got a lot of work, man. We are in the steep and deep. And we got a lot of work to do. Oh man. My bull's down. I was getting a little nervous because there was a rock blocking him. God is good, man. Come out here on a hunt with my dad and my older brother, and to have an opportunity like this, I don't have words for it. Oh. Oh man. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. Just making our way over to my dad's spike that he shot, and mine too, but mine is closer to the top of the ridge. My dad, he shot his towards the bottom, so we are making our way over. Simon's still gonna gut his over there. His is down, so he is all good, but we're gonna go check these guys. Oh man, it's brutal. My first year back in Washington, and I've been taking it very easy in Oregon. So coming back to this and just hiking these mountains is just crazy for me. So I'm just so blessed to be here, though. It's been forever since I've been down here. So to, be out here and to put it together, not just me, but my brother Simone, my dad, and me. Like, I don't even know how to describe it other than just being blessed. God is good. My 2025 Washington State general season public land bull elk. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, guns unloaded, by the way. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and this year, my dad and my brother and myself, we decided to go and venture and go and explore some of our really, really old stomping grounds and go hunt for spikes. So down here where we're hunting, the only legal bulls or legal elk that you can shoot are spike bulls. So as long as one side of the antler is one single point, he's legal. I believe this was the first bull that I spotted first thing this morning from about 2 miles away, right behind the camera right now. Actually, they were all feeding right on his face, and just looking at this country, this is the type of country where you don't go where you want to go, you go where the mountain lets you go. So we had to make a giant loop all the way around, got to the ridge that these elk were on, and Onyx Hunt was just so clutch, pinned them directly, and just looked at Onyx to see the best route to get on top of them or get to them and have a shot. So I crested over, and right along this spine right here, the elk were bedded here, but I didn't see those bedded elk. Right on this face down here, I spotted 2 elk, and immediately by the color of the body, I was like, those have got to be 2 spikes. Threw my binos on them, and sure enough, it's 2 spikes. It's this guy and a smaller spike. And even though my dad gave me the green light, I was like, these 2 elk are in the best position possible to do a double. No idea I'm there. I have a perfect vantage to go prone and take a shot at about 400 to 450 yards. And so I hit him up on the walkie-talkie again. I'm like, where are you guys at? Like, there's 2 elk right here. There's 2 spikes right here. And my dad was like, it doesn't matter. Just shoot them. We're too tired. And then Chinu fires back. He's like, if you have 2 bulls like that, like, wait for us. And so I waited and I waited for like 15, 20 minutes. And this elk was going to come up and basically go in bed with these elk. And I was super scared that as soon as he crested over here, I mean, once they crest back over here, you really have no shot unless you get directly on top of them. But the problem with hunting herds like that is when you get on top of them, if you spook, they tend to group up. And when they group up, you don't have a clean shot at one particular elk. And so you know, this bull, he made his way up here. All I saw was he dropped in the scope and the rest of the herd just took off and they just went behind me, and the elk went and stood on that hillside over there. And lo and behold, my dad and my brother were behind me, and there were a bunch of spikes. And so, yeah, what a crazy opening day. This is not how I envisioned it, how this season was gonna go, but we got a lot of work. So I'm actually just gonna gut this bull, get him aired out, and we gotta go try and see what the deal is with the other spikes over there. But this is my first ever spike bull. I've never killed a spike bull before. It's always been a branch bull or a single cow. This umbrella is so clutch. It's keeping everything dry while I gutted my elk. But I'm done gutting them. Got everything out, and it's raining. It's pretty cool. So I'm not worried about this elk spoiling. I'm gonna go and help my dad and them try to find their elk. Seems like they're struggling a little bit.
It is drizzling now, and I finally got to my dad's elk. I don't know if you guys could see it, but my dad thought he shot on the clear cut next to this one, and I was like, I don't think it's that one. So he is over there and I'm over here, but yeah, I found him. He's pretty close down to the bottom here, but let's take a look. I'm not gonna touch him. I'm gonna let my dad touch him first. There he lays. Here's my dad's spike bull 2025. Beautiful spike. He is pretty close to the bottom, so this is gonna be pretty rough, I'm not gonna lie. So we'll see what they do if we want to quarter this one out and pack it up to the ridge, on top of the ridge, or if we want to just gut it, come back tomorrow. And that's finally here. Yeah, I don't know, this rain is just not helping. That's a super spike. That's the super spike. Oh my goodness. My legs are burning. Yep.
That's a super spike. Oh my goodness. Dad's bull. If only he didn't roll, he died up there. He rolled a long ways. Super spike. Oh, this guy's way bigger than mine.
Yeah.
Body wise. Every man for himself. That's why I shot the small one. Oh man. It is so miserable right now. It is dumping rain. The dad's bull is dead on the steepest part of this ridge. And so we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna gut this bull and just try to make efficient time and try to figure something out. But yeah, we gotta take care of dad's bull and hopefully try to get some meat to the top of the ridge to make our loads easier, because we saw my bull on the other side of the ridge and he's completely untouched. The rain finally let up. Chinu's bull is laying right there. And luckily, like Chinu said, he waited for the elk to almost crest over before he shot his. And so his has like a 20 yard to the horizon. My dad's is way at the bottom. And then my elk is on that other ridge over there. Oh, wow. 3 bulls down, man. 3 bulls down. Oh, I'm not gonna touch them because it's Chinu's elk, but we're just gonna go look at them. Oh, look, there's a game trail right here. He died around the game trail. We got so lucky he got caught on this limb. It's another super spike. Oh my goodness. Looks like Chinu hit him a little high. 3 bulls down. We're on the ridge top right here too. We're right on the trail. Oh, God is good. God really blessed myself, my dad, and Chinu this year, man. All 3 of us, we got our deer at deer camp this year, and opening day of rifle elk, and we got 3 bulls down. My dad and Chinu are coming up. This is the trail right here, and the bull is just dead right over there, literally on this trail. The elk were all up here, and then this bull was standing off on his own over here, and this is when I told Chinu, it was like bottom right's the spike, or a spike, one of the spikes. I knew he was a spike, but I didn't think that Chinu was gonna have a shot through the trees, so there was like 2 or 3 other spikes right here, but all I had was the camcorder. So I ran up to where I had filmed my shot, grabbed the spotting scope, and right as soon as I was about to set up the spotting scope, Chinu shot, and he drilled his, and then I didn't get Chinu's kill shot on video, but he rolled like 20 yards. So congrats, dude. Congrats, Dad.
Yeah.
2025. 2025 opener, 3 spikes down.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
Your bull's right over there.
It was meant to be.
It was.
If they would have went the other way, we would have only got 1.
Yep. I know. I was just like, all right, I will just take 1, and then I shot and they started running towards us, and I was like, man, it's just meant to be. Yeah, he's right on the trail.
Oh!
Your first ever Washington bull.
Oh, you shot the
Oh, it stopped him from rolling.
I know, that's what I'm saying. He literally got caught.
Oh, yeah. Touching your ball.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you, God. Oh, man. Even when I don't deserve it.
All right, started a fire because we are damp, wet to the core. We have all our stuff splayed out. Luckily the rain let off, so we're gonna make a fire to dry off. And Chinu's bull is the only bull that we're gonna completely process tonight because, again, there's the elk and there's the trail right here. So we tied him because it is steep, and we're gonna get him quartered out, and then we're gonna take a load from this bull and just get it back to the truck. We have backup coming. Very thankful for them, but they're not gonna show up till late, so we're gonna do what we can with this load or this bull, hike out to the truck, and then tomorrow all 7 of us will come back in to hopefully finish the job. But for now, get to work on Chinu's bull and warm up and dry up and get out of here. Well, that hailstorm, the rainstorm just completely put out the fire, and so we are wet and the wind is ripping and we're losing light fast, so we're taking a load. We're not completely done, but we just did what we were gonna pack out. So Chinu's elk is about, I don't know, 35% of the way there, but we just got a long way to go and we want to get out safely, so we'll come back in the morning when we have a crew and we have more daylight. This is one of the craziest windstorms ever. It is the morning of day 2. Today's pack out day. Packs are slimmed. Myself, my dad, and Chinu, we're headed back into where we shot the 3 bulls. And we got 5 of the strongest, toughest men out here with us, willing to just drop everything at a phone call and drop down into the deepest, nastiest hole just to go and suffer on a packout. So we're making our way down. We're almost to the ridge top, and then we're gonna send 3 guys, which one of those guys is me, and we're gonna go take care of my bull, and the rest of the 5 guys are gonna go take care of Chinu's bull, what's remaining of Chinu's bull, and my dad's bull. As he lay, looks like nothing messed with him. He is all cooled down. We have the sun, but it's cold. Yep, he is. Yep, he's very cold on the inside. The other crew is about to approach Chinu's bull. Chinu's bull is dead right in this trail, or right on the trail behind these trees, and then my dad's bull is dead down there. It's gonna be me, Chris, and Chris's dad on my bull. That's him. Right now, I am sitting here in our podcast studio room. That's right. Quick plug before I get to the final portion of this video. The Samong Yang Outdoors podcast is live. It's been live since July 1st of 2025. So if you're unfamiliar about the podcast and you're interested in the podcast, we have both a YouTube channel for the Samong Yang Outdoors podcast where you can visually consume the podcast. Or if you just want to stick to traditional audibles like Spotify, you can also listen to our podcast there. With that plug out of the way, now I want to talk more about the hunt that you just watched, as well as some of the things that did not necessarily get filmed because I did not get a chance to film it, and also just what happens after the hunt's over, because as many hunters may know, your hunt does not end when you get an animal on the ground. If anything, that's when the hard work starts. And this hunt was a testament to that, because when you have 3 bulls down like that in the middle of a hole, you really start to think about what you just did and why you ended up shooting 3 bulls anyway. So that's kind of what I wanted to recap here to give you guys a better idea of what we actually ended up doing. Because once we got to just the packing out part, for the most part, I kind of just shut off the camera, because at that point, it was just work mode instead of filming mode. At that point, the only priority there was to get the meat back to the truck safely and quickly. So we had shot our 3 bulls on Saturday, which is the opener. And you guys kind of saw that one because I was still filming. But as soon as we confirmed that we had 3 bulls down, that's when I hit up the phone and I started calling my family to see who would come and help us. And long story short, we were able to gather 5 guys on top of myself, my dad, and my brother. So there were going to be 8 of us. So on Saturday, the day that my brother and my dad and I had shot our 3 bulls, the 3 of us, we took half of Chinu's elk because we still had all of our hunting gear, our rifles, and whatnot. So we had taken half of Chinu's elk back to the truck on Saturday night. We had shot those bulls around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We started hiking with Chinu's load around 5 o'clock, and we got back to the trucks right around 10:15 p.m. By the time we had gotten back to the truck, my uncle Blong and my cousin Xiong, which you guys may have seen in last year's 2024 hunt video, because my Uncle Blong was the one who shot that big bull last year. So he came down with his son, which is my cousin Xiong, and when we got back to the truck with that first load, they were already there. We drove back to the spot that we were going to camp that night, and then my other uncle, our editor Chris, and Wachong, those 3 guys, they ended up showing up at midnight. So we had 8 guys to go in Sunday to pack out 2.5 spike bull elk. So Sunday, all 8 of us, we went back down there and we divided and conquered, because our spikes did not die in an area where you can just easily go from one another. So my spike died on the left ridge, Chinu's spike died on the right ridge, and then my dad's bull died at the very bottom between the 2 spike bulls. But even though he died on the bottom, he was still on the side that Chinu had shot his spike. Because if you guys recall from the video, after I had shot those elk, they came down to the valley and then they started going up the other side, the adjacent ridge to us. And that's where Chinu and my dad had shot those 2 bulls. So their 2 bulls died on the same ridge. My bull was dead on the ridge that I had shot. So we had 2 bulls dead on one ridge and then 1 bull dead on the left ridge. So considering the fact that there was 1.5 elk to be packed out from the right ridge and 1 entire elk to be packed on the left ridge, we decided to split into a group of 3 and a group of 5. So myself, my uncle, and Chris, us three, we went over and took care of my bull. My other uncle, my Uncle Blong, Xiong, Wachong, my dad, and Shnu, them 5, they went to take care of my dad's bull and Shnu's bull. So the 5 of them, they took care of 1.5 elk. The 3 of us, we took care of 1 elk. We took as much as we could. We deboned everything because at that point, it's smart to debone everything. And this is when the video kind of starts to just become a highlight reel, because at this point, it's really don't need to film anymore. Just kind of get the meat out of there, because from where our bulls died to where the trucks were, it was about a 4.5 mile hike with about 2,800 vertical feet of elevation gain. So it was a just uphill grind to get these elk back to the truck. So where my spike bull had died, he died right on top of the ridge. I mean, you guys saw me. I shot him right on top of the ridge. And overnight, on Saturday night after Chinook, the 3 of us had packed out half an elk. That night, it was super windy. I mean, practically the whole time we were down there, it was never not windy. I mean, the winds were anywhere from 20 to 40 mile per hour. And it was also, raining occasionally. And then on our pack out, on the final pack out, it started snowing. So because my bull and Chinook's bull had died up on the ridge top, that wind, with us having gutted those elk out, it really cooled down those bulls, which is good. That's what you want. So on Sunday, when the 3 of us, including myself, went over to my elk, the only thing I had done to my elk at that point was gut them. I pulled out all the stomach, the intestines, all the organs to make sure that the cavity was hollow so that it can cool down, which it did the job as normal because it was cold. But because the elk was essentially stiff and frozen, this is one of the not smartest things I've ever done in my life. So I'm like hovered over this elk and I'm like crouched next to him. And I have one of his hind legs tied to a rope so that he wouldn't fall off the ridge for whatever reason. And with how his leg was positioned, I had my left knee towards the knee of his hind quarter. And I had my knife because at this point I was trying to skin that hind quarter out so that I can actually get to the flesh of that hind quarter. And because, again, this elk is essentially frozen, when you put your blade to the skin, you don't have this really nice, smooth cut. Instead, you're kind of breaking through like these hard clumps of skin. And like my second strike with my knife in, my knife is stuck because it's frozen. The elk is basically frozen. And it breaks through. And as I'm doing it with how the momentum my hand is going, it breaks through the hide of that elk. And I wouldn't call it stab, but I basically poked myself right in the calf with that knife. And the moment I hit my calf, I was already like, I hope this is not bad. So immediately I rolled up my pant leg. And on this day, because it was a pack out, I decided not to wear a gaiter. I normally was wearing the gaiter for the whole weekend, but because it was a pack out, I figured I did not need a gaiter. If I had a gaiter, it probably would have prevented this wound from being as bad as it was. And so immediately when I poked it, I threw the knife down, I pulled up my pant leg, and immediately I can just tell blood is just pouring down my calf and onto my sock. And I'm like, oh no, I really hope this is nothing bad, because again, we're down by an elk. I have essentially half an elk to pack out up nearly 3,000 vertical feet, 4.5 miles back to the truck. As I'm looking at blood just running down my calf, I'm trying to assess the situation to see how bad this wound actually is. Very fortunately, it was only about half an inch deep of a cut. So even though blood was just pouring out, it ultimately was just more of a flesh wound than anything else, because I was just super nervous that if I cut the artery there, I probably was dead on that mountain. The good thing about that cut, it was a very fine cut. And so when it cut, it was just a line. And so even though blood was just pouring out, the moment I stretched my skin, the cut kind of closed itself. And the moment I did that, the bleeding stopped immediately, which I was like, oh, that's perfect. As long as I'm just not constantly bleeding, I'm okay with it. So I grabbed some Band-Aids. I put it on while holding that cut closed. And then Chris took his tourniquet, and then we kind of just wrapped it around my leg. And luckily, that was enough to stop the bleeding. It was nothing more severe than that. But the reason why I bring it up is because that was not on video, because, again, you're just in work mode at that point. But that was one of the things that I wanted to be sure to bring up to you guys, because it's very easy to be in those situations where you're just so like, oh my goodness, we have so much work to do. We need to get out of here as soon as possible because it's a lot of weight, it's a lot of work. We got a long ways to go. And so you start getting reckless. You start rushing things. In the moment when I'm like, we got to get this elk taken care of, it almost costed me and put not just myself, but everybody around me in a very bad situation. When you have a lot of work like that, don't get overheated, don't get flustered. Take the time to properly do things and safely do things. I got that little wound taken care of. We processed the elk. I threw in a hindquarter, a shoulder, the neck, and the various scrap meats on one side of the elk, along with the head. Chris took the other hindquarter, the other shoulder, the other side of the neck, and the other scrap meats. And then my uncle, which is Chris's dad, took the two back straps, the tenderloin, and some of the other various scrap meats that were remaining. So packed it out, and so the three of us, we took care of my elk, and then the rest of the crew, they made their way back up. It was, again, it's like a 2,700 vertical feet climb back up to the top, and then you have to side hill 2 miles back to the truck. And so we just took our time, slowly grinding, and by the time we had just gotten up to where most of the elevation was done, it started dumping snow. So by the time we had gotten back to the truck, it was whited out, but everybody, we were just turtling our way back. And so it was probably one of the worst packouts of my life. And I've done a lot of terrible packouts, especially on my solo packouts, solo backcountry packouts. But this one in and of itself, just the conditions, having a wounded leg in a pit and dealing with constant 30, 40 mile per hour winds in your face all the time with snow and rain, it just made for a very miserable but memorable packout. So with that said, I want to really express my gratitude to my two uncles, Uncle Blong and Uncle Ying, Chris, Wachong, and Xiong, for being so willing to just come down, drop down into a hole, load up heavy packs, and then pack out elk almost 3,000 vertical feet, because not a lot of people are willing to drop their errands at hand to come and help you do that. So myself, my dad, and Chinu were extremely grateful for those 5 men that came to help us. With that said, now we jump into the meat. So one of the things that my family always does with the meat is we always divide the meat of the animal, or in this case, animals, as evenly as possible to everybody involved on the hunt. So myself, my dad, and Chinu, we shot 3 bulls, 3 spike bulls. Looking at the overall pack out, we had 5 additional people. So there were in total 8 people that ended up packing out these elk. So instead of me keeping my entire elk, my dad keeping his entire elk, and Chinu keeping his entire elk, we divided these 3 elk as evenly as possible into 8 different portions. So every individual person that came and helped pack out got their own portion. This is all 3 elk, deboned, all 4 quarters from each, all the back straps, tenderloins, and all the scrap meats, including the neck. And this is what it looks like. So we had 8 people pack out, so we divided 3 elk into 8 portions as evenly as possible. So for example, this is 1 row. So my dad's elk, my elk, Chinu's elk. And then there's a 2nd row, 3rd row, 4th row, 5th row, 6th row, 7th, 8th row. When you kill 3 elk, it's a lot of meat if all this was to yourself. But when you divide to all the people that were involved, it shrinks a lot. This is technically mine, my dad's, Chinu's, Wachong's, Chris's dad, Xiong's, and Uncle Blong's. When you have it evenly like this, people can come and choose theirs. But for me in particular, 1 row like that is what I get from the elk, all 3 elk. That's one thing that my family has always done. It's a family rule at this point. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're blood related or you're just a friend. If you're involved on the hunt, whether you were immediately packing out or you were just sharing camp, you always get a portion. And that's the one thing that I think differs from a lot of people. A lot of people, and not to say that there's anything wrong with it. This is just me elaborating on how my family does it. A lot of people, when they're sharing a camp, whoever shoots it just gets the whole animal, and there's nothing wrong with that. But with how my family has always done it, it's always been splitting it, sharing it. Once the meat is divided evenly into different portions and everybody claims their portion, at that point, everybody is in charge of their own meat. You can do whatever you want with your own meat. For me, I'm pretty simple. I will grind the pieces of meat that just don't really look good for a roast or a steak of some kind. And so I will have my grind pile, and then I will save my roast and my steaks and those bigger cuts in bigger chunks. That's all I do. We wrap it up and then label it properly, throw in the freezer, and then it's ready to eat whenever you want to go. That's kind of the process that we do. And then normally every time we have a successful hunt like that, one of the first things we always do is we do a celebratory meal. So on this one, my dad goes to his just tried and true la or larb recipe, where it's just a lot of ground meat. You throw a lot of delicious ingredients in there, eat it with a side of rice, and it just always hits the spot. There's a lot of different recipes about it. Everybody has their own twist and their own little unique style that they go about larb or la. That's kind of what we do post hunt. You split the meat, and then you process the meat, and then you cook it however you want. And then before we go, the last thing I want to talk about is my rifle, because this is something that people always ask me about whenever I shoot something with a rifle. So this is my 280 Ackley Improved rifle. This is a Defiance Anti-X action and Oregon mountain rifle. They built the rifle, they put the action and the barrel together. And I have a 20-inch carbon fiber Oregon mountain rifle barrel on here. And this is threaded 5/8 by 24. For my suppressor, I'm shooting the Silencer Co. Sight TI. And then my chassis, this is the MDT Hunt 26 chassis. This is actually the second one I own. I have one on my 6.5 PRC, my Savage 110 Ultralight. You guys have seen me use that in 2024 if you guys watched last year's hunting videos. And then for the bipod, this is the new MDT Mountain bipod. This bipod, when I took my shot, it was so clutch because it's a bipod that's a little bit slower to set up because there's so much things you can do with it. There's so many functions, so many different ways you can position this bipod. But the versatility, if you have the time to set up with this bipod, it's so clutch because you can get it almost in these awkward positions where a normal or a cheaper two-dimensional bipod will not get you through. So even though it's a little bit slower to set up, man, if you have the time to properly set up like I did in this case before I shot my elk, man, you're just so much more solid when you're going to take that shot. And you don't have to battle your rifle being a little canted like this because it doesn't have enough tilt on the panhead or whatever. So I really like this bipod, and the best part is it weighs about 6 ounces. So the reason behind this build was kind of like a relatively lightweight, ultimate, do-it-all Western big game hunting rifle. And that's kind of why I went with the pieces that I went with. I wanted a suppressor, so the Sight TI was one of the lightest suppressors you can buy. The MDT Mountain bipod, one of the most versatile and one of the most lightweight bipods you can get on the market. MDT Hunt 26 chassis, one of the lightest chassis you can buy on the market. A 20-inch carbon fiber barrel because it's just weather resistant more than like your traditional blued stuff. And the main thing about the carbon fiber barrel is because it's simply thicker, you just have more threading options, which I wanted 5/8 by 24. And then for the magazine, this is just a MDT Polymer CIP 3-round 30-06 magazine. I'm shooting a 280 Ackley Improved, so that takes a 30-06 magazine here. I have it topped with a Vortex Razor LHT 4.5 to 22 by 50 MOA scope. I also have the Vortex Low Pro Bubble Level on here. I'm using the Vortex Pro Series rings, and I believe this ring height right here is a tall. And then I have the AAD Land scope caps, so that whenever it's raining, I don't have to worry about my scopes just getting wet from rain and whatnot. But then as soon as I need to use them, quick to deploy, very easy to use. And then the last thing that I use that I think is very beneficial is a throw lever. So this is the Kestrel Glassing Systems throw lever. This is the one that I helped design in part with Kestrel Glassing Systems, John Lucas. And so that's my build. So this year I'm shooting just factory ammunition because I did not have time to develop a load for this rifle because I got it so close to hunting season. So I was actually just shooting, or am just shooting at the moment, the factory Federal Trophy Copper 140 grain projectiles. And it's shooting anywhere about half MOA to about 3/4 MOA, which again, for factory ammo and not having spent too much time with this rifle, I was okay with it to hunt for 2025. And then the last thing I did is on the left side of my chassis here, I just have my dope chart written there so that whenever I range an animal at a certain yardage, I could just refer to this chart, dial, and then take my shot. So with that said, I really do like this rifle. The recoil out of a 280 Ackley is not super bad. It's actually pretty manageable in and of itself because I have shot it without this can. It's manageable, but I wanted the suppressor to help reduce noise and also reduce felt recoil. And so again, this is not a full review on this rifle yet. I'll do a separate video on that in the future, but this is something that people are going to ask me about. So I wanted to, you know, just answer some of the overview questions right here on the dot. So really like it. So if you're looking at any of those components, I highly recommend basically all of the components on this rifle. So if you're looking at an MDT Hunt 26 chassis or silencer kill sight TI suppressor, just know that everything that I just went through on this rifle, I highly recommend. This hunt is one for the books. Just everything about it was extremely unexpected. That's the best way I can put it. But with that said, the season is not done. We still have another elk hunt and some deer hunts to go along before we close out this season. So with that said, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.